Hello, fellow scriblings. You're all very welcome along to this open creative writing video course brought to you by me and by the Bluebell Arts Project. My name is Abby Oliveira and I'm a writer and performer, and I have nearly 15 years experience of delivering workshops on writing and performance in various guises, including to all ages, all skill sets and all levels of experience. So you're all very welcome to join us for this short video course. Each week I will be presenting you with a prompt and a task, and the idea being is that you spend the week afterwards working on those things, and hopefully they might keep your mind occupied when you find the isolation is getting to you a little bit. So, pens and paper at the ready, folks? Let's go. So it's basically inevitable. It's kind of like taxes, or paying the lecky bill, or doses, that if you do any form of a creative writing class or course, that someone eventually is going to tell you, write what you know. But Abby, right, I want to write about the Pleiadians that came to Earth and they took over and enslaved humanity. But I'm a human and I don't know any Pleiadians, and there's never been an alien invasion in my lifetime. Does that mean I can't write about them things? In short, no. Fill your boots, write about whatever you can imagine. First of all, this is not an instruction, it's more of a guideline. We may not know any extraterrestrials personally, but what do we know that the extraterrestrials may or may not understand too? Well, we may know all about having to take refuge. We may know about the desire for power. We may know about immigration. We may know the feeling of being an outsider, or having our intimate spaces invaded, etc., etc., etc. We may understand all those things. So, before we undertake our writing prompt, here's a task. Pen and paper at the ready, and I would like you to make a list. Make a list of your favourite kinds of stories. They might be romances, thrillers, mysteries, horrors, anything like that. Just jot down 2 or 3 options. Next, what are your hobbies and interests? Jot down a list of those. Now, anything. It could be knitting, baking, history, politics, anything that really interests you, that keeps your attention, write it down. Next, what in this world makes you angry? And I'm not talking about mildly miffed, sad, no, angry. Write it down. And what in this world makes you joyful? Not slightly smile, not give you a wee lift, I mean actually makes you joyful. Have a think about that, write them down. And finally, what experiences have you had in your own life that have stuck out in your memory throughout your entire life, for good and for bad? Write them down, because those might be experiences that you could transfer onto a character in your writing. Understanding what most interests and excites you, what moves you as a person, what types of experiences you've had that you very likely share with many others, and having them written down in a physical list that you can look at is a visual rough guide to where you can start when you're writing. Ideas for themes, characters, topics, plot lines, all of that can be found here if you need it. Particularly if you're new to writing, these can be very, very helpful. It's not that you're always writing about yourself, but it's just these can be very effective springboards for ideas. and you use your imagination from there. Go to the Pleiades, human child. Go to the Pleiades. Sorry, it's the isolation. What you can see on the screen now are images of the spellbinding street photography of Vivian Maier. Maier was one of those geniuses who lived her entire life in obscurity. Even her nearest and dearest hadn't a clue that she was a great, great photographer. In the year 2007, her huge collection of work was rediscovered in a thrift shop in Chicago when a buyer called John Maloof bought up a box of her negatives. Now, what I love about these is the sheer everydayness of them, the characters in them, of the world that she was able to capture. Now, I often use images in my workshops. I make cards such as these. And maybe you could actually take some time and go through old magazines and papers and make your own versions of these cards. They're great, great writing prompts. Or maybe your journal is already full of them. The point is, much like Maier's images do for me, to pick images that stir something in you, that you have some reaction to. Which brings us to our prompt for this video. I want you to pick an image. Now, it can either be an image of Vivian Maier, or it can be one from your own journal. And I want you to write a short story that outlines what happened either immediately before that picture was taken or immediately after that picture was taken. Now, remember, you go where your imagination takes you. Make sure that it relates to the picture in some way, but then using that as your springboard, you go wherever it takes you. Now, if you would like to spice up the story a bit, if you're maybe a little bit more of an experienced writer and would like to maybe try something a little bit more complicated with your story, then you can do it this way. Pick your image and then go back to the list that we wrote for the first task. So pick one genre from your favourite types of stories. So, your genre might be horror or romance and so on and so forth. Then pick one interest from your lists of hobbies and interests. Could be knitting, politics, so on and so forth. And pick something that makes you either angry or joyful, and weave those three things into your story that you write. Now, remember from our last video, story structure. And if you've forgotten that, go back, have a look at the video we did on Freytag's pyramid and story structure. And I'll leave you at that. Very, very, very good luck with your writing, and thank you very much for joining us for video 4 of the Open Creative Writing video course.